and they forget. So our greens are soaked in cold water and they're rinsed in clean cold water. So we actually we soak them first, then they are rinsed in cold water. So we actually triple wash all of our greens, or triple rinse them. And then they go into a commercial size spinner before we're bagging up. So you see the commercial spinner there, which holds about 2 pounds of mix at a time. And then from the commercial spinner, they go into a clean plastic garbage bag. And from that, we weigh that cleaned product. We document that. And I guess I should back up a little bit. We also, every time we sterilize and use any kind of cleaning compound, well, the only cleaning thing we use is chlorine. We document that. I've made a little spreadsheet that you've probably seen in public restrooms. A lot of times they just have a basic little spreadsheet there on the back of the door that has you put a check mark and it says when they cleaned the bathroom, when they cleaned the sink, when they did these things. I designed one specifically for our vegetable processing area, and a part of that I have a list there with dates, so I can just check that, and basically my list is clean out sink and rinse with cap full of bleach, clean out bins, rinse with cap full of bleach, clean out salad spinner, rinse with cap full of bleach, and I also write the cooler temperature checked and what that cooler temperature is, and that's a part of our handling and processing requirements that we do to meet the need of maintaining our organic handler's license. So these photos here are basically, so there's the lettuce in the top left after we've washed and bagged it, and you can see I've got organic stickers on there. So it goes into we have a large commercial refrigerator, and we are now in the process of building a large walk-in cooler using a CoolBot. And if you don't know what that is, look up CoolBot online. A CoolBot is a piece of electronic equipment that you attach to an air conditioner that fakes the air conditioner into going colder than it normally would. So we're in the process of building a 7-foot by 8-foot walk-in cooler that it gives us more space and easier access for our produce. So after it's washed and cleaned and bagged, it then is cooled immediately. We always deliver within 24 hours of harvest. And then when I go to deliver, those bags of lettuce you see have gone into an ice chest, which go into my air-conditioned van. And on the picture on the right are head lettuce, which are covered with a moist, there's ice, blue ice on the bottom of each of those ice chests, and on top of the blue ice is thin styrofoam to keep the lettuce or whatever greens we have from coming in contact with that. I wanted to show you this picture. I know a few people that have done this, turning a washing machine into a salad spinner. They work pretty good, the good old centrifugal force, and the salad spinner that we have is, I mean, I think they're pretty much indestructible unless you ran over them. We've had the one that we have for going on 20 years now, and when we bought it, I think it was $99. I think they're probably about $200 now. But old washing machine on the spin cycle to get the moisture out. I mean, you'd have to disinfect it and go through a process. But I just wanted to show you that. I thought that was a clever idea. But it's important, and I think Glenn has made enough of a point there about knowing the food safety and health regulations, and I don't want you to get too freaked out about that. I mean, if you're going to be making over $500,000, maybe you should be freaking out. But if you're not, you still need to be writing your congressman and being a representative for small acreage farms and encouraging all the powers that be that they give that an exemption and maintain that exemption for small acreage farmers. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, the reason I put this lettuce up here, we have food safety and health regulations, and yeah, there's lots of regulations out there, but it's just we have to know what the rules of the road when we go to get a driver's license, and we have to know the rules of food safety and health regulations to do this. And it doesn't have to be a terrible thing, you just need to be aware. So with lettuce in the whole leaf form, it can be sold as a salad mix, bagged and sold. If I took these lettuce leaves and chopped them or tore them into smaller pieces, think about that. I'm opening more area on the leaf surface that can be contaminated, and therefore then it has to be in a commercial kitchen and requires different kinds of permits. So that's something that you really want to think about. Here I have a couple photos of, this is not our stand, it's actually some students of mine who are selling at the farmer's market, and you can see that for their salad mix or their mixed lettuce, they've got it a towel over blue ice to keep it cool. It's in a bag, so that helps, and they keep that covered out of the sun. And you can see in the picture on the right, he's pulling fresh salad mix that's in the cooler and maintained that way. Now for us as handlers and processors in doing the same process, basically I just keep a little notebook. I have a thermometer in there, and once an hour at the farmer's market I make note that I looked in there, and I write down what the temperature is. And we have to do that if we do value-added products. Like when we were selling our pesto, we had to maintain that for the health regulations. So it's a little bit different thing, but very similar. And this is just another ice chest at the farmer's market as a way of keeping their lettuce fresh and crisp at the market, which not only gives them a better opportunity to sell it as a fresh, crisp product, but keeps it from wilting and helps with that food safety issue as well. So I want to talk a little bit about egg handling, and Glenn did talk considerably about the meat birds, and I'm just going to touch on this a little bit. We keep a flock of 50 birds, and that's as many as I ever will have, because that's as much as I want to deal with. I learned my limits. There were some years ago I swore I was getting out of eggs and meat birds, and then the next year I think I had 300 meat birds and 100 laying hens, and I have made the commitment after that that I would not do that again. So back to the egg handling, it's really important and you can find all kinds of information online about the best, safest way to deal and handle with eggs. So washing the eggs immediately after collection. The thing is, the longer an egg sits, the more bacteria and dirt will collect on the outside of the shell. This time of year, oh my gosh, since it's breakup, it's muddy out there. The chickens have muddy feet, and of course they're pooping on the soil. Then they walk through that, and then that gets on the eggs. It's quite more of a process to wash the eggs now, but ideally you want it to be hot water, and you want to rinse the eggs. We rinse the eggs in hot water, and I was reading up on this the other day, and oh, well, I'm glad we're doing it right, because the warm water will cause the eggs' contents to swell, which pushes the unwanted bacteria out through the pores. We allow them to cool and dry and refrigerate immediately, and we have a self-serve eggs here on the farm, and have most of our customers come to the farm, and what we don't sell on the farm I take to the local natural food store in town. We used to take eggs to farmers market, and if you do take eggs to farmers market, you can see this is basically for the health regulation aspect is the eggs are kept in an ice chest. She's got a thermometer there, and you basically, like I was saying before, you keep a notebook, and every hour note in that notebook for that date and time that you're at the farmer's market that you're monitoring the temperature of those eggs. So rather than have eggs sitting out on your table at the farmer's market, ideally you would just have an empty egg carton there so people can see that you have fresh eggs and get the fresh eggs from the cooler. That's reducing the contamination, reducing the risk of Salmonella and E. coli. So we're going right into manure and compost in organic systems. And one of the things that when we were talking about the contamination and some things that have happened in recent years, I think it was spinach a few years ago in California. There was a certified organic farm in California that when they did the spinach recall and they went through a long process of trying to figure out why there was E. coli in, I don't know, I don't remember if it was E. coli or Salmonella, but in the research process they discovered that the adjacent property to this certified organic farm was, I believe, a dairy, and the water from the dairy with the manure went down through the earth and contaminated the certified organic farm's water, which then when they went to go through their standard food safety handling process of washing that spinach, they were actually contaminating it with pathogens from the manure. So for most of us that are certified organic, or whether you're certified or not, if you're growing a garden, most of us use manure as a traditional fertilizer because it really is an excellent nitrogen resource. But home composting of manure is really riskier than, well, they say it's riskier than commercial composting due to mostly because it's the lower temperature, and really the greater temperature variability in a small pile versus a large commercial pile is a part of that as well. So typically we would have smaller compost volumes and inadequate temperature monitoring. So composting without manure avoids the potential pathogen problems, but we prefer having manure because it's a good product for fertilizing our fields. So this is our compost area. We use straw bales. It's probably maybe 8 or 9 feet across the back part of the compost there. And typically we have used goats. We had goats. We don't have them anymore, but now we're still cleaning out the rest of the goat pen, and we use our chicken, the layers of chicken manure and straw that go into the compost bin with our garden waste as well. In the National Organic Standards, they are very clear on how they regulate how manure is used, and really the rules applied there for the organic standards are pretty sound advice whether you're going organic or not if you're going to use manure. So for us, ideally, we have to document everything that we do, and certainly you should be doing a fair amount of documentation as well. But if you're applying manure within 120 days of harvest of a vegetable, it must be thoroughly composted. And what that means is that for us to call it compost, I've got to take its temperature every single day for 15 days, and I need to get it between 131 and 170 degrees consistently for that 15 days. And basically, if it reaches that temperature, it's going to kill pretty much all of the pathogens that would come from that